Simplification of radicals. So we're gonna simplify some radicals over here. First, we're gonna go over this property. Square root of A times the square root of B. This is the same thing as having a square root of A times the square root of B. This property is very useful for most problems when it comes to the simplification of radicals. For example, if I were to have a square root of 72, this is the same thing as having a square root of 36 times 2. And this is the same thing as having a square root of 36 times a square root of 2. And this is the same thing as having a square root of 36 is 6, and a square root of 2 is just a square root of 2 because we don't have. So we usually leave them as a radicals like this. 6 is square root of 2. That would be the proper answer. Now, if I were to have a square root of 27, this is the same thing as having a square root of 9 times 3. So what you notice is that I'm looking for a number that has a square root, right? Since 27 doesn't have a square root, so but 9 has a square root. So therefore, I can rewrite 9 times 3 as a square root of 9 times a square root of 3. And this can be written as 3 a square root of 3. Square root of 9 is 3, and square root of 3, we don't have a square root of 3, so we just write it like this. And this would be a final answer. Now, I have a square root of 6 times the square root of 12. This is the same thing as having a square root of 3 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 6 times the square root of 2. And I can actually break out the 6 again, and this will be a square root of 3 times a square root of 2, a square root of 2. Now I'm going to break the square root of 6, which can be written as a square root of 2 times a square root of 3. Now I have a square root of 3 with a square root of 3, so I'm going to have a square root of 3 and square root of 3 right there. Then I'm going to have a square root of 2 times the square root of 2, which is 2 times 2 will be 4, square root of 4 times the square root of 2. 3 times 3 is 9, so it's going to be square root of 9 times the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. Square root of 9 is 3, square root of 4 is 2. And we don't have the square root of 2. So in here, it will be 6 square root of 2. And that's it. Now, if you were to have something like this, a square root of 45 times b to the second power, I can rewrite this as 9 times 5. 9 times 5 is 45, and then p squared. And I can rewrite this as a square root of 9 times the square root of 5 times the square root of p squared. Now from here, we can actually simplify this. So this will be square root of 9 is 3. The square with the square root will be gone, and it's just going to be p square root of 5. Now, if I were to have a square root of 100, and then b to the third power, this is the same thing as having a square root of 100 times b to the second power times b to the 1 power. Now, from here, I can say this is the square root of 100 is 10. Then I can separate those two as b to the second power times the square root of b to the first power. Now this with this will be gone. The square with the square root is gone, so it's going to be 10b. And then you have a square root of b. And that will be your final answer.